Hi, this is Greg Eddolls, and I'm back with our guest tonight, Jonathan Duquette. Jonathan, I enjoy having a conversation with you because you're scaling a business across all of North America, Canada, United States, and every part of these areas are different. We were talking before about the fact you're in Canada, and what goes on down here in Houston with respect to a roof and what your product is able to solve for consumers is a lot different. And the problem that you decided to overcome was, how do I make this last forever? And you've come up with a subscription, you've come up with the Revive, you've found some new ways to do that. But you're still dealing with 270 people in different areas. They aren't all down here where it hails. They're in Montana, they're in Canada, they're in Michigan, where people might not ever know that it's working.
Yep.
Right? But that's what people don't know, if their roof's working until it leaks.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if they know whether GoNano's working.
Yep.
They just don't want it to leak.
Yep.
Right? They don't want it to deteriorate. But you're rolling out a new program, and as the leader and founder of the company, you're dealing with people in different markets, different dealers that have levels of success. When we talk about the solutions and the ways that you were able to overcome some of those different, me in Michigan versus yourself down here in Texas, well, you've got a different message. You've got a different addressable market, a different revenue model. How do you go about that? Because you can't send out a memo or you can't send out a corporate and say, here's what we're doing.
Nope.
Because it doesn't affect me.
No.
So talk to our viewers and our listeners a little bit about what's that like as a CEO of a company that can't, send out messaging to everybody, because everybody thinks they're special, but they're really in different markets and you need them.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that, yes, you have GoNano, but within GoNano, there is multiple businesses. Mm-hmm. By that, I mean, it's a different business on how to market here in Texas. It's a different business on how to market to Florida. It's going to be different challenges, right? So it's really different, and the way that you approach it is literally different. So one way that we figure it out is hiring people, right, within the company that's going to be basically manager. They're going to be, and they manage a certain amount of dealers in certain market so that it can work. But something else that we figure out that works really well, even if it's not the same market, but we try to do groups, right? It's around 7 to 12 dealers per groups. And even if one is in Texas, one is in Michigan, one is in Canada, and one somewhere else, it works well because it's not because you're only in one market that someone else from another market cannot help you.
Right.
And that's something that I figured out really, really young, because it comes back to Einstein disease, right? And Einstein was one of the first person, or Leonardo da Vinci, to really work it out in a ways that if you work on multiple things at the same time, is going to create really great ideas.
Right.
So if you work only in one market all the time, it's going to be hard to develop new ideas because you're only looking at a bird-eye view of your little sphere. But when you start looking up and you're seeing problem from outside, and you're like, okay, this guy has that problem, but he solved it that way, but I can use something about that in my market, but turn it and make it that way. So that's really where it gets really interesting, is once you have all of these problems, but you're trying to solve them, but then you create new ideas on how to overcome all of them.
Right. When you, and I like the way that you frame it with a business is within a business, because in a sense, that's what it is. So you've brought in regional managers, if we can call them that, for sake of anything else. So these regional managers, do they have, how does your hierarchy go in your company with respect to getting to Jonathan? Because knowing you're very personable. You like to be, you really want to be on the front lines. I don't know that you want to be on the roof, but you want to be right there with your dealers. So you've had to build, because your company's grown and you've got other obligations, your operational expense, your CapEx, to be able to continue to make these new, to enhance your product and everything else. You've got a lot of different a lot of hats to wear. So you've made this investment. You've got these regional managers. What's that been like? How has that process been in terms of rolling it out, in terms of that feedback? Because sometimes regional managers, they kind of want to always win a trophy, but you don't really know what they're doing. And I only say that because I've had a lot of them, so I'm not disparaging anybody, but you've got to manage people then.
Yep.
Versus the vision of your product and your company growing. Now now you're bringing a whole new element in.
It comes back to what I was saying earlier. Let's start by testing it, get some KPIs out. Let's try to figure out how do we measure all of that, right? Because, okay, you're a manager, you're managing, let's say, 10 or 15 people, but how do we manage, or what's the KPI to see if what you're doing really works or doesn't work, right? So it comes really back to that. And again, business within a business, and you have to make it, you have to learn pretty much everything. And yes, I like to talk with people, but what not all the people knows is that the way that GoNano started is that I was the one going to sell, install, right, doing the customer service, doing the I was doing the accounting. I was doing everything by myself at the beginning. That's how I started the business. I was actually a dealer. That's how I started the company. Once I became successful, I was like, good. Let's go to Texas right away because it's a 12 months a year market. What I found out, people here never replace their roof by themselves. It's through insurance normally. So I was like, what's the problem? Flew down to Texas when doing door to door to try to understand what's the market here, right? So that's where a leader will be like, okay, it doesn't work. Nobody can find a solution. Let's get down there and let's try to figure out what's the problem, how to overcome that problem. Then what I did is that I went to see the governor of Texas. I went to Austin. I want to meet with them. I was like, what's going on with the insurance industry? I started asking questions, and then I got answered, and then we started working together, not together, but I started with their answer. I was like, okay, now that's the way that market here in Texas, we're going to work it out, right? So.
No, because what you're sharing with the audience is you see the problems, and you didn't come up with all those answers the first time.
No.
There was a lot of either slam doors, slam phones, unreturned emails, something or another, and you were able to work your way around it. When you think about this now, your business is starting to, it's 6 years now, so it's getting some level of maturity. Businesses kind of like dog years, but probably in half. So because of the amount of times your business changes during the year, about the whether it's the people or the thoughts and everything else, your business changes a lot over the course of a year, much more so than just we do as people. You've got some challenges ahead of you because you're thinking bigger.
Yeah.
What's your process for thinking? How do you go about that? What's the next thing that Jonathan is thinking about for GoNano? But what's the process that you use? Because that process is something that has changed from when you first started and you were a dealer to when you got 2, to got 20, and then now when you're in a position with regional managers. You're continuing to grow your business. What's your process and how has it changed? What are some of the mistakes or misconceptions you've had as you've grown your business? Texas is a great example.
Yep.
You mentioned the fact you were able to meet with the governor and the insurance inspectors to learn things. Well, what's next? Where is what's your thought process as you move forward?
So there's 4 pillars at GoNano that we call them. It's the win, 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 win. So first off is the homeowner, the consumer. That's the first person that wins, right? Mm-hmm. Second, it's our dealers. Third is us, GoNano. And the fourth is the planet, right? So everything needs to be aligned that the 4 pillar wins. Mm-hmm. Everything that we try to launch. At one point we decided, okay, let's start a new product, launch a new product. We found out that it might not have been the best idea. Why? Because yes, we had a win for everyone, but who was not winning was our dealer. The reason was we were complexifying the whole process. Every time that you add a new product in a business, now it's more training, more question, more resource, more everything, right? So everybody kind of lose because now the focus is elsewhere, where
Right.
the focus should be the roof, and that's what we are trying to do right now. And that's why as well, at GoNano, what we are changing right now, it's like reducing a little bit, or all of our product, or we were like going to the cars and to the windows, and at one point we're like, no, let's back it up, and let's focus on what we are really good. We have a patent, we have everything, we have all the data, all the tech, like everything for the roof. Let's focus on that. Let's work with insurance company. Let's work with, and already that it's humongous.
Right.
So that's the main thing. But long term comes back to the same thing. I don't think asphalt shingle should be on the roof in 20 years. I don't think that's the product that should be installed. So my way of thinking is like, how can we create the next generation of roofing? And that's what we are working on right now, because in long term, we have to figure out a better way that's affordable, that will last for a longer period of times, and that won't be beat up with hailstorm, because it's just going to go up, right? The hailstorm will just be more and more
shingles
present.
are from a waste standpoint a big deal too.
Exactly.
But with that, let's cut away. I look forward to coming back for this next segment with you, Jonathan. With that, we're going to send you to our sponsors. This is Greg Eddolls, your host of Einstein's Disease. We'll be back shortly.